Good morning and welcome to the Crafty Canary for your tip on Tuesday. Today I have a very special guest with me. This is my friend Cristi, and she is an interior designer, and she is going to give us 3 of her best decorating tips for those of us who are not interior decorators today. So let's welcome Cristi and get to know her a little bit. Thank you for being here, Cristi.
Sure, thank you for having me.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business? Of course.
I started my company for the home about 4 years ago. I was originally in the wedding and event industry, and I lost that job during COVID. So I had to pivot like a lot of people did and figure out what my next step was. And God just ordained this business. And so I launched it in December of 2020, which crazy time of year to do it, a crazy season, but it has grown and grown, and it's just been a great joy. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, tell us what, for those of us that aren't interior designers and maybe don't have a really huge budget, what are your top 3 decorating tips?
Okay, there's so many that I could share, but to narrow it down, probably one of my biggest tips that people have the biggest struggle with is scale of a room, and that means everything from the scale of a rug, which is the size and how that looks in your room placement, the scale of furniture, which is the size of your furniture, a lamp, it can be a vase, it can be books, anything like that. Every single thing that you have in your home has a scale to it, which means the size in relation to the space that it's in. And so the biggest mistake I think people make is they buy way too small. They just think on a smaller scale. They don't think on a grand scale. And so I always tell people, if you're out shopping, if you're not using a decorator and you just want to get, some items for your home, err on the side of larger. Larger is going to always look better. It's gonna take up more space. It's gonna fill that space better. And then you don't have to use as much of decor or as much of something. So but a lot of people have small rugs, and it's like this little bitty postage stamp that's in a huge room, and the furniture doesn't even fit on it. So I think scale is always a huge factor when you are redecorating or refreshing or just adding new elements to your home. That is one of my biggest things that I try to teach my clients.
Oh, wow, well, that's great. So even in a smaller home or a smaller room, you still want to think about the size and relationship to what you put in
it's okay that's what people kind of think. They think, oh my gosh, my home is small, my rooms are tiny. That's not always the case. Bigger items don't necessarily make your room feel smaller. And the thing is, it needs to relate to everything else. So there's a whole part, it kind of snowballs into other things, but don't be afraid to really buy a large rug that fits most of the room size, rather than this little bitty thing that maybe only one little chair can fit on. That kind of thing. Does that make sense? Even if you have a small space, bigger items can always work.
Well, I didn't know that. That's very great to know. Okay, how about your second tip?
Okay, my second tip would be, and this, I don't decorate and design with a lot of trends in mind. I really am mindful with my clients' budget and their money and everything, and I decorate for life. So there's a couple of things that I may bring in for trends or colors, like a throw pillow or I don't know, some type of little figurine or something that's going to be a lamp that's more pottery looking than traditional or something like that. Those things are super inexpensive to switch out. But for when I'm really designing a room or a space or a house or whatever it is, I'm really erring on just thinking of longevity for that item and not really trendy. But this could be an argument for being on the trendy side, but I think it's a great thing, and that is to not forget your ceiling wall. That is literally considered the 5th wall in a room. So you've got, say, your 4 walls, and your ceiling would be your 5th. And a lot of people, and no offense to your home, because traditionally and with just a basic build and track builders and everything, they play it safe. They do white ceilings and maybe put a color on the wall. But I love, if my clients are for this, and so far people have loved this, I can do it in a small bathroom, I can do it in a large kitchen. I take that color up on the wall, on the ceiling, and it actually makes it look more spacious, and it's just elegant, and it's rich looking, and it's.
And you would do the same color on the ceiling that you've done on the walls?
I would, if it's a lighter. Now, if it's a dark, we do like a really, really dark color, and this is called color drenching, when you do, this is really popular right now, doing all your walls, all of your trim, and your ceiling all the same color. And I've done that before too, and it looks really, really good. But you gotta be kind of go for it and be gutsy to do that. But if I do walls that are super dark or dark-ish, and the client is like, oh, I'm just not sure about the ceiling, I usually cut that paint in half, the color in half, and then paint that wall. So it's still the same hue, it still flows. It's not just a stark contrast from a white ceiling, which is very normal and traditional and what we've done forever, and then a colored wall. So it's just a new kind of a paint technique that, a lot of decorators are doing this, and you can see it in magazines, and it, you've got to want it. And I also just appeal to my clients. I just present some of these things to them, and sometimes we'll try a little swatch and see what they think, because you can always paint it back. But that's just kind of a neat, if you're wanting to update your home, if you're wanting just a refresh, paint is always very affordable way to do that. And you may want to try doing your ceiling that color, or at least cutting it in half to get a little bit of more, just some oomph up there.
Yeah,
so.
Maybe a trend that will last.
I hope so. I like it. So we'll see.
All right. Well, how about your third tip?
Okay, my third tip is, mixing styles are acceptable. Some people think that, oh my goodness, I have mid-century, or I've got very, very contemporary. I can't bring in antiques, because that's more traditional or kind of more old world. I know. Yeah. It is okay to do it, but it has to be done right and tastefully. There's a tasteful way to do it. And I actually love blending styles. My home is, I have a couple of antiques, but it's kind of a traditional modern style. And some people love just to add little elements like that through art is a great way to do that. Patterns, which I know you are just an expert of with being a seamstress. You can mix and match patterns that really bring out kind of some style elements there. And so layering those and being able to know how to mix those, which I know is, I always tell people, if you don't have the budget to hire an interior designer, look at magazines, or go on Pinterest, or go online and just like Google, pattern mixes or anything like that, and you will get a wealth of information and pictures that can just help kind of guide you, and you can see kind of what you want to put together. But you can mix old world and contemporary. You can mix mid-century and traditional. There's, like I said, there's ways to do it, but I just feel like so many homes are becoming more and more eclectic, just because people don't have just one set style. When I interview a client before I, start their project, they're all over the place, and just with colors. They love so many different colors, and they love so many different styles, and so I try to pick out a couple of things from there and try just to put their home together, and it can work. It really can work. So don't be afraid to experiment and try with kind of some different styles. So
well, that's a great tip. Thank you so much. All of those are great. I have so enjoyed talking about these with you today, and I've learned a lot.
Good.
Well, thank you for being here. If anyone wants to connect with you, maybe you're local, might even want to hire you, how can they connect with you online?
Sure. Well, my Instagram and my Facebook are just my name, Cristi Carothers, and my business is For the Home, and my website is forthehome.net. And so they could go to my website or connect with me and message me or DM me or whatever on social media, and I'm happy to answer them. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you for being with us and for watching, and we hope you've enjoyed those tips. They've been so helpful for me, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.